Lions Rock Productions.
This is Doc, and you're watching the Break It Down show.
Hell yeah.
Break it down, break it down, break it down.
Man, thanks for doing this. We're in the Tower Club. This is cool. I appreciate you hosting me at your place in Dallas. And so if anybody who wants to see stuff about NWA and all the past and everything, they should go watch Vlad's show he did with you or Sway. And those guys talk a lot about all that stuff. I want to talk to the 50-something-year-old middle-aged, artist and figure out, who you are now today. So who the heck are you today? Because you're not that guy that I saw, in the 80s talking. No. Well, I am kind of. I was telling somebody the other day, I started out as a kid named Tracy Curry, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of just back to that kid. Yeah. I'm not really worried about being D.O.C. as much. Yeah. And so that sort of allows the natural me to come out and, and do some great things, There's a guy named Honoré Vachon who's a rapper, and he went to prison for murder and released albums for 20 plus years, made a lot of money. He was successful at doing that, but he also killed off his rapping persona and did a whole funeral album and everything. And he wants to be Honoré now, Sure, he's still going to perform and that name has value, but that doesn't represent who he is now. Now that he's out and now he's rehabbed, rehabilitated himself. Does that resonate with you then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are a myriad of quotes about, life and when you finally wake up to what it really is, And so I feel like I'm in one of those kind of moments, halftime, for lack of a better way of putting it. Now I can get to work.
Yeah. How long did that take for you to get there? I mean, I know I was a knucklehead probably until I was 48 and I'm 51 now, and I finally calmed down and finally matured enough to see the path.
Yeah, for me it was, when I was 38, I'd started having enough pain. I met Badu then, and she gave me this little baby, and Puma was sort of the beginning of, the turnaround, but I still wasn't through, so 38 till about 48, I kept squiggling, and then I got involved in a new relationship, and this lady gave me sons, and my upbringing as a child was that I didn't have the kind of father that I wish I kind of would have had. Yeah. And so those young men made me want to be that dad. And so really I blame my dad for me being a pretty good dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can identify with that. My dad was present, but he was pretty abusive, and so a lot of what I do as a father is the opposite of what he might have done. But he had his good moments. Yeah. But I had to learn how to trust authority because I figured I was always on my own. I had to get away from the house because it was dangerous there. And, for a long time, I didn't trust anybody, what they said, because I saw a friend, we were just taking pictures for Christmas cards when we were kids, right? And we're just being creative and silly and goofy. And his dad came home from a business trip and acted like he loved his wife. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to get bad. Like someone's going to call somebody a fucking bitch or something here, And then he came over to see what we're doing. And I'm like, this shit's going to go down right now,
This is bad. And, I'm going to not take that call.
And as I grew up, I learned that no, they loved each other, and it was so foreign for me. And it took a long time for me to sort through that. I continue to still sort through these things, but what were some of the barriers? I mean, your dad not being there, but what does that equate to you as an artist, as an adult who's 35 years old and still, you're still squiggling and wiggling, like you said?
Well, I'm on the better half of it now that I don't harbor that pain anymore. Yeah. And I love my dad. I know he loves me. I know he's a product of his time and his generation, and that's just the way, things are. Mm-hmm. But I'm in a great space these days. I'm in a place where I could serve and really do some good for the next ones that are coming up, and still be able to do some great art for me, for my sake. This documentary is a big deal that I'm doing because I get to highlight not just myself and my journey, but my city, my family and my friends in ways that people don't usually see them or know them.
Yeah.
And so it's a real piece of art for me. And I can't wait until it comes out. Even the soundtrack that's going to be connected to it is a really dope piece of art. So it's just a bunch of eclectic artists that are really good at what they do, that are coming together to help me make something great.
How much of this music is your own original stuff, whether it's lyrics or, you're controlling the music content itself?
In as much as I'm only making sure that what's accepted is dope. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I got one song I'm doing. Of course, I'm doing a song with a group called Body Count. You ever heard of those guys? Oh, yeah. I'm doing a song with a group called No Effects, a punk band. And so I'm doing some stuff that's cool and edgy, but the regular people like Dre and M, and I'd like to get a song on my daughter Puma for this soundtrack. Oh, nice. Yeah, that'll be cool. That's my dream. But, the usual suspects will be there. It's going to be a great thing, man. Is music, I'm not passing you by, but are you as moved to create music, or is it really more about movies for you now? It's just art. It's all the same to me. Yeah. I seem to be good at this acting thing. I didn't know I could do that until January 1st. January 19th. And then since then, I've been in a movie with Bruce Willis and about to be in a movie with Mel Gibson. How great is that? I know, right? Like, who does that? I love to ask this question for folks that have gone on a journey like you have. If you were to tell your 18-year-old self, like, this NWA thing and all that comes with all of that, that's going to be next to nothing by the time you're 50-something years old. What would that Tracy say to you? Like, if you were to tell him this story. He'd understand. Yeah? Yeah, he'd get it. Yeah. He'd get it. And he knows his role. Like, I've always been about service, man. Okay. Even when I was writing songs for them guys, that's what it was for me. Yeah. Helping them be the best they could be. Yeah. Using what skill set I had. Yeah. Yeah. Are you getting better at creating? Are you a better artist now? I'm just as good as I've always been. So whatever that is. Yeah. I'm that guy still. Yeah. I'm just good at it. Dre called me this morning. Text me this morning. Because he's getting ready to do this deal, and he still wants my advice. It's because I'm pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good to be Dre's, advice guy. I mean, it's good to be it's good to be the man next to the man, bro. Yeah. Do you ever just think to yourself, Dr. Dre just called me? Like, do you ever? Sometimes. Yeah, because it is incredible. It's cool. Yeah. Not only is he a billionaire, but he's a musical genius. Right. Right. Both of those things don't happen every day. Yeah. It's interesting when you think about how many genius level things you guys had to get together to create the whole NWA scene. I mean, you have Dr. Dre's just completely changing everything, and Ice Cube's incredible lyrics, your lyrics, all of these things come together. If you had one less leg on that stool, and I'm not trying to minimize anybody else in the group, but you guys continue to do things and create things at this high level. If there was only two of you or just one of you, could it have happened, do you think? No. Yeah. You couldn't have did it without Cube or me or Dre. Right. One of those goes and it's all, it doesn't fit all the way. Mm-hmm. Now, everybody was important. Right. But those three are kind of where the bulk of the magic kind of came from. But you needed everybody, right? Right.
we've had Drez on the show from Black Sheep, and he's really big into, part of his job is to teach, his community, New York City, black folk, whatever it is. And he's actually even worked for New York City to teach kids math through rap.
That's dope.
And they'll come up to him and say, hey, I passed my high school regents because you helped.
Super dope.
And I don't want to call anybody out, but Cardi B is just easy to call out. And then I see what she does, and I'm just like, oh man, like you have these different ends of this equation where the art, God bless, make your money however you're going to make your money, but it just seems like one is being exploited and the other one is trying to build something bigger. How does that resonate with you?
Well, look, I don't know her story, but I support her art and her right to do whatever the hell she want to do and make that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's a woman of color getting it, and I respect it, and I love her for it. That said, she's a youngster in the game, and Drez is seasoned in the game. She probably won't be doing that same kind of thing when she's 50. There's a limit on some of the things that you can do, but can't have the sun without the rain, bro. It's all all sort of relative.
Yeah, and she's not the first artist to do something sexy when she's young.
You know what I mean? I remember there was a group called Two Live Crew that was out when I was young, and the stuff that she's doing kind of pales in comparison when you think about it.
Yeah. Talking about all the things they did. Yeah, you're right about that. Do you feel, as like an artist, that your job is to educate the community, all of us? I mean, NWA did this, right? It let us know. I mean, I'm from California. We got it early. I went to an Eazy-E show in an Elks Lodge in Sacramento, and because I wanted to make sure I understood what was going on, Do you still have to do that, or do you look for other horizons to explore with your art?
Yeah, I'm evolving into an ambassador of sorts. Because I got this cause, that says I know of what I speak, and it's all coming from a genuine place. I want to see the culture grow. I don't stick any part of it in any kind of box, or any kind of people. I want people to grow, whether they black, white, orange, green, purple, or yellow. I want the music to grow. Whether it's raunchy or Christian.
Yeah.
I want businesses and people's ability to do new things within the scope of this business and make money. It's enough to go around. There's so much new music, and there's so many ways to get it these days. It's enough money out there for everybody, so just enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm also curious about, we had Sly Stone on at one point.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's left of his brain, there's a lot of wisdom in there, and I want to ask you about wisdom next, but we were talking about when he was on Dick Cavett's show with Muhammad Ali. And there's two sides of the coin here where Muhammad was saying, hey, we got to get ours to protect ours, and then we'll work on other stuff. And then Sly was like, be cool, man. Like, let's all get together. He had an integrated band. He had girls singing, all of these things. And so he approached it from a more hippie and to get together kind of thing. And this is from that time where Muhammad had a different approach. And again, these are both viable. Like, let's take care of the house, or let's just all work together. How does that resonate with you when you see that where we are in modern time? I don't think it's a one or the other. I think they're both right. Right. Yeah.
I don't think you can do, we absolutely got to get our shit together.
Yeah.
In my community.
Yeah.
We absolutely have to build a bridge that extends from the people that look like me in D.C. and the people that look like me in Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the dirty ones. The ones that you would the ones that the ones in D.C. would call dirty or undesirable.
Right.
We don't want those kind of,
Yeah.
We got to figure out something between us because you're on the same team, whether you believe it or not. And truth be told, you're fighting the same kind of immature fights in both places.
Yeah.
And so you can't. It's about not being judgmental. It's about trying to figure out a way where everybody can win in this thing together. And then from that point, being able to build for yourself in your own community and grow. You know what I mean? Like a lot of other races, they don't have that same kind of issue. So we have to internally deal with that.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali is exactly right. But in a larger picture, this is America. It's a whole bunch of motherfuckers here, and you have to figure that shit out too.
Right. There's news stories when they talk about segregation, but they've repropositioned it like, hey, this is a black affinity space, and this is a white affinity space. And it sounds like siloing and separating, and that terrifies me because it feels like from our generation, we went from a lot of different places where there was a lot less tolerance to where we are now, whether it was gays or ethnic inclusion or exclusion in general. I mean, we've come so far. Like, there's gay dudes on TV. We don't even care. Like, it's just funny, like we don't mock them or anything else. There's a guy I'm going to talk to in a couple of weeks. He works with a nonprofit that helps autistic computer programmers get like legit jobs. So
That's dope.
Yeah. So they can have personal value, right? So this is where we are, but it seems like we still have all this stuff where folks are just begging to pull us back.
Well, it's got to, I think the way it was said to me was the old paradigm has to play out, but the new one has already started. You just said it.
Yeah.
The things that they're doing to try to give value to lives that, and the new changes that are coming in your TV screen, but there's still that old remnant that exists. I think that most people just ignore, especially in politics.
Yeah.
They'll scream about Donald Trump and his ways and means of handling himself and conducting his business. But really, he's no different than the founding fathers. It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
So you can't say he's corrupt and then go back and praise those guys. You're still living under the same sort of rule where the 1% get to make all the rules and control all the money, and it just happens that most of those 1% are old white guys.
Yeah. I remember during the election, Ice Cube made the news because he was talking about hey, this next administration, let's get some stuff done. I don't care if it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
Right.
And the Trump folks reached out to him, and we're not politicking for anybody here, but they reached out and said, let's start talking.
Right.
And then the Biden administration said, hey, let's talk. Let's just get the job first. I haven't heard that they've reached back out to
Same problem, bro. It's the system that's screwed.
Right.
It's not red or blue. It's purple.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're both fucked. And so if you want, you're going to have to scrap most of this shit and start all over, or you're going to have to be a real independent. But it's so difficult because your system is infested with that thing.
Yeah.
It's there. And I always I ask people, would you allow your child to go to a school that the principal was a pedophile?
Right. No.
And if they're going to always say, hell, motherfucking no.
Right.
But you want these little black kids to go out and exist on the street being policed by people are more than likely racist.
Right.
Maybe Proud Boys or KK. You don't know what the fuck these guys are.
Right.
And you send them on the streets out there to police these young black kids. You want that. But you would never let your kid go to school. You know what I mean? It's like you're missing. You don't see the totality of the problem because it's not your problem.
One of the things we do with, so I did this whole series on people that had murdered someone and then rehabilitated and gotten out. And one of these guys, he's written books and just an incredible dude now, super wise. But one of the things he said was he grew up in Detroit. He's like, prison was an extension of my community. That's not what I want. I don't want that. He's like, everybody I know has either been shot, about to get shot, or dead. He had a brother shoot a brother in his own family. And we try to look at like fixing this stuff. And so, yes, personal accountability and bootstrap. And I got boots on right now. I'm driving all over this damn country trying to get these shows. And then the community, for sure. You said earlier, we got to clean up our stuff in our house, and all cultures and ethnicities need to do that. But at some point, we as a community have got to figure out, all of us, like, how do we reduce that harm that's happening? Because he's talking about, I'm a combat guy, and he's talking about getting off the X. And look, and I'm like, that's combat. You're describing combat and PTSD. And so if I have PTSD, which I do, how can those guys not living in that life?
Wow. That's heavy.
But we don't think about it.
Yeah, that's pretty deep. Yeah, man. Trauma is my life me as a rapper, my life was built on trauma. D.O.C. came from trauma, and I'm sure most of these. So you're right. The fact that coming up in a place like that traumatizes you, and you never get to deal with it. You're just forced to live it, and suck it up. Like
medicate it or whatever.
That's crazy. Wow, that's a really interesting perspective, and it makes a lot of sense.
It does. And again, we don't want this outcome of like, yeah, of course you go to prison, or yeah, he's in prison right now. I mean, these are not norms that any of us want. But this purple system seems to, and I'll just say it honestly, our justice system, including black men, we'll use them as the example, but people who don't have enough money, choose them up and spits them out. And then we look down on folks, black men, people who don't have money. We look down on them for failing in this system that craves them, The
system is screwed up. And if you're fighting to maintain this system, that means it's working for you, right? And you're good, or you're a predator, because it's fucked up and you gotta know it. And so if you know it, and from your perspective it's great, or we can make a few changes, then you're just fooling yourself. And, you can't be a part of this new world, bro. We got to get out of that old paradigm. We got to racism is a cancer. Yeah. It's a disease. Yeah. And we need to heal these people, right? Yeah, they need help because they've been traumatized too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they really think they're better than somebody else. And to have to face that fucking thing has to be scary as shit.
Yeah. 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 And everything's balances, right? And so we learn a lot about, what a black family is in the 80s from Bill Cosby. Here's this guy that has all this good. I mean, what he does, for black artists and actors and music, he teaches Ray Parker Jr. how to manage his money so that he's wealthy before he writes Ghostbusters, And Tim Reed, we had, I can't remember his wife's name, but we had her on the show. She was the mom on Fresh Prince, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Long friend with Bill Cosby. And I'm like, how do you deal with that? She's like, Bill Cosby's my friend. He's done so much for us. Yes, there's these bad things about him, but we've got to also understand that he also did these other things. And that's a whole long thing for me to say. It's easy to point at something and say, that's wrong, I don't like it, complain about it, but it's hard to bend your back and write a lyric, make a movie, go chase down money to get movies made, get into the community, whatever it is, go mentor somebody. It's hard to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's not hard if you want to do it. Okay. It's actually really rewarding if you want to do it. Get in there and get next to it, because you never know what you're going to get out of it, right? It's unknown territory for 99.9% motherfuckers out there. They're watching it on CNN or Fox, and that's the world. But when you go into the neighborhood and you try, it's cool.
We like to label folks a lot in society. And everybody moves in different speeds. It took you 40-something years. It took me 40-something years to kind of get where we're more calm and we can be introspective, retrospective wise. How do we allow someone to grow if we put them in a box, whether it's racism or capitalist or whatever it is? How do we work so that, I mean, you're an artist. It's esoteric stuff here, but if we don't allow someone to get better, they can't.
Hey, look, for me, it's a G.O.D. thing. It's not a D.O.C. thing. I can't let them do shit. Yeah. All I can do is let them know I see that the effect that it's having, and it's detrimental. You know, it's not Shit's not good. It hasn't worked for 400 years. It's not going to work, and you gotta let that shit go, right? And really, you need to be busting your ass to try to rectify it as much as possible. Like, you can't even heal this shit if you can't admit that it exists. Right. You don't even know what you're fighting. I forgot what I was reading the other day, and something said that United States paid reparations to the slave owners, when slavery ended.
Right.
Paid reparations to the slave owners.
Right.
And they gave niggas shit.
Right.
Like, how do you live with you? How do you go to work? How do you drive to work and say, I represent this great country, quote unquote, and have that hanging over your head as if one day that's the biggest load of bullshit ever. You motherfuckers owe the bank owes the bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're not in good standing. You just suck. You know what I mean? So all the shit you're talking about, all this, Donald Trump is not a weird manifestation of anything. He's you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. He's fucking you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So,
yeah.
Hey, it is what it is. But like I said, I think the paradigm has really shifted. At least for me it has, because I'm building as if tomorrow's already here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man, we're talking a lot about the hard stuff, and the machine's kind of half taken apart, but has to keep running at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like you're driving your Porsche around and trying to swap turbos on it.
Right.
It's like with Medicare, I always said, like, if everybody got in a line saying, I'll give up everything to get something state of the art, that's great for everybody. But no one wants to get in that line because they want to keep what they got.
That's right. No, it's simple. It all goes back to racism. Some people don't want those people at their doctor. I don't want to walk into the doctor's office and happen to see Julio.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure Mrs. White and Mr. J. White can go into their doctors and not have to see Mr. J. Brown or Mrs. Eleanor Black. They don't want that.
Yeah.
Right? If everybody had the same health insurance, that's a possibility. And so you could tell when most of the Republicans start talking, they're always talking about them infesting your neighborhoods, and they're gonna make you not have to live in these closed communities. It's nuts.
Yeah. I don't think either of those parties have the answer. They seem to. I've been saying this lately. If you're in Congress and you become a 50 millionaire or 100 millionaire, you're done. You won. Go home.
How could you look? You shouldn't even be able to have a job in America that'll make you make that kind of money.
Right.
Then you're supposed to be working for people that ain't got no money.
Right.
That's a sack of shit, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of them. And I don't hate any of them. Schumer or Pelosi or McConnell or Jim Jordan. I think all of them are 99.9 full of shit for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, que sera, right? It is what it is.
Yeah. You've got a lot of wisdom. I mean, you've gathered it, you're talking it, you're throwing it out there. How did you do that? How did you become this dude that is insightful and can take these complex social things? And again, you're an artist, so you're trying to take us somewhere with this. That takes wisdom. How did you get all that? Was it purposeful?
Hey, it's a G.O.D. thing. It's not a D.O.C. thing. I'm just, the guy that's lucky enough to walk this path. And it used to be a pain, but now it's starting to be cool, you know?
Yeah.
And so maybe it's just the pain you hear.
My friend, Dr. Robert Greenberg's been on the show. He's a musician, and he's sort of like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of classical music. And he was like, I didn't learn anything really until I was like 60 or 62.
Wow.
Yeah. And every time I ask him, and I'm like, is that still true? He's like, and then every year it grows. But he's like, I continue to be amazed by what I pick up, and when old things from way back when lock into place for me. And this happens to me, not just Dr. Bob, but something will lock in that I'll realize, and I'm like, oh my God, I lived this and didn't even see this entire different part of the machine. Does that resonate?
Well, yeah. I mean, but, I've been sort of doped up for a while. I'm just now getting back to, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What gets you excited to get out of bed in the morning?
My kids. And the idea of doing something for the community. My legacy is bigger than rap.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah, thank goodness, yeah.
I want it to be about doing something that mattered.
Yeah.
That made a difference. And I'm talking about a small difference. I want to change the world around this motherfucker. I think I can.
Yeah. Yeah, when you die, someone's going to say 150 words about you when they stand in front of that mic. Maybe they have a pre-canned article ready to go.
Right.
They probably have one right now for you,
Right.
But would you want it to even have rap in it? Or is that so far in the rearview mirror, you're like, I'd rather they say...
No, you got to put it in there.
Okay.
Because he was cold.
Yeah.
He was one of the coldest ever. And he only got one shot at it and blew it out the water.
Yeah.
Not too many people can say that.
That's true. And the ones that can, I mean, even NWA had one real album, the Sex Pistols, one
when
album.
we were all together.
Yeah.
One shot at it.
One shot.
And this is what's always cool to me. When we started that journey, we started it with We Want Easy, all of us together. And we ended it with the grand finale.
Yeah.
Is that cool or what? How apropos.
It's incredible. Did you think you only had one shot? Did you have a sense of urgency, like this may not last? Because in any kind of music, bands don't stay together,
No, because I wasn't in their band.
Well, that's true. Right.
I was just sort of kind of a part of it, but I never got into any arguments with anybody. I just served my purpose and kept it moving.
Yeah.
And I never thought about, I didn't think mine would ever end. I thought I was going to literally be the greatest fucking rapper of all time forever.
Yeah.
But that's how you think when you're young,
Yeah.
I never got a chance to develop into what I could have been musically.
I think E40 has had a chance to sort of stay in it and continue to grow as a rapper, even though like primarily the thing he does now is sell like alcohol, like wine and everything else.
Yeah.
But when you hear him rap, it's just so damn polished now, and he doesn't put anything out that is in any way bullshit. It's all just, it's all Cadillac grade rap. You know
That's
what
right.
I'm saying?
That's right.
Who else stands out like that to you? That's just seasoned into something that's incredible that you look and go, man.
Yeah, I don't have any people off the top of my head that that fit that bill, because I genuinely like everybody's shit.
Good.
I don't like anybody. It's not even about. I don't hear music with my ears. I hear it with my heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if I feel it, then that's what that is. It doesn't matter who it is.
I asked Andy Summer this question, the guy from The Police, because he's a multimedia artist now. Music, of course, but photos, spoken word, and he puts us into this whole thing. And he's just on the edge of his art. There's no one in front of him. I asked him, who's in front of you? Who inspires you? And he's like, no, that's my job, is to be the inspiration.
Pretty much.
Go out there and he's a weird cat. He goes way the hell out there. His music takes some, it's like yoga. You have to really stretch into it and because there's so much there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, do you recognize that as what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I don't recognize that. I don't know if it's what I'm doing, because what I'm doing sort of just happens.
Yeah.
It crystallizes in the moment.
Okay.
I didn't know that this soundtrack was going to be like it was until I just thought I'm going to do a soundtrack and started talking to people, and it just freaking happened.
Yeah.
So it started here, and it lands on my phone, and then it's out in the world. Shooting with Dre and M in this documentary, and hearing from their mouths what they really thought about me as an artist, as a person, was really fucking cool.
Especially now, because they've processed this for, decades with Dre, and gosh, Eminem's been around forever now too.
It was amazing to know what two of the best motherfuckers to ever do what they do think about you in that space. And I know Dre's my brother, but Dre don't sugarcoat shit. He's incapable. He's a real weirdo like that. Like, he's so forthright about everything and just blunt, disgustingly blunt, that is tough working with him, right? But he pushes you to be great.
Yeah.
And I inherited that from him. And so I push people to be great. And that's what we're doing right now. I don't want to spill any beans
for sure
on what Dre's doing, but next year is going to be a fantastic year for us in hip hop.
There's a great story Exhibit tells, and he told it on a podcast with another guy I had on the show. And he was like, when you go into the booth with Dr. Dre, he doesn't hear it. He says, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And if you're young and upcoming and you're like, I got to take a break, Dr. Dre goes, I'll be right back. But he's not coming back.
That's right.
He's walk out. Like,
that's right.
You got to do what he says because he knows the pattern. And it's monotonous and meticulous and deliberate. But goddamn, he delivers.
That's right.
When does he not deliver,
It's weird that the guy hears. I always tell people that, from my perspective, when Dre produces a song, most guys, when they sit down and they produce their records, they produce this record and it's 3 minutes, 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
I think Dre produces his actual song is about maybe 45 seconds. And it's produced this way.
Wow.
Instead of this way.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same thing over and over and over again, but there's other things that are coming in and out that change the dynamic of the piece as it goes.
Yeah.
The 4 minutes, but it's just the same shit.
Yeah.
It's math to that guy. And I try to figure that shit out, but it's just too difficult.
But that's his shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So without spilling the beans about the documentary, do we have a potential release date next year sometime?
I would say fall next year. Mm-hmm. It feels good.
Yeah.
And I'm ready. I'm ready because I got a lot of stuff that I want to do beyond music, beyond art. That's close to my heart. I'm going to keep doing that shit. But there's a school that I'm trying to make happen here in my city.
Yeah.
There are things I want to do with philanthropists in the community center space in the city.
Yeah.
And there's something I'm trying to do in the street ministry sort of space in my city. I want to work in all three of those areas to rebuild the community from the inside out instead of waiting on this screwed system that we know is fucked.
Right.
To do something from the top down. I want to go into the heart of the belly of the beast and start making change.
I love hearing you talking about the street ministry part because as we get more and more secure with our surroundings, we need a whole lot less God. And this is not like a proselytizing thing, but we have to take care of the spirit, mental, physical, spirit. And if you don't, and we seem to not do that, and we seem to get pissed off if someone else is doing it or look down upon them. I don't care what kind of religion. If you want to pray to the universe, you want to pray to something else, who cares? But it's good to hear you talk about that because, we need some spiritual accountability.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. The hood needs some God desperately. All the kids always talking about it. They love Tupac.
Yeah.
But Tupac feared God. You could hear it in his music. I don't think these kids fear God like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just seem to just feel like being popular is the end all be all, and doesn't matter how you get it. You know, that murder is a viable way to become somebody. You know, and that's just sad, man.
Yeah.
Like, because not only did you take a life, but you took your own.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get to win going down that road. And being a dope man is proved to you over and over, and then that road has a dead end at some point.
Yeah.
I would never tell a person how to make their money, but the end goal should be creating a business that you can bring to the world and be proud of.
Yeah.
You know, however you got to do it.
Right.
You know, not just to live your life like a fucking Scarface. You're gonna lose like Enos.
Right.
You're not gonna be a dad to your kid.
Yeah.
Your kid's gonna grow up and not be a dad to his kid. You know, because you want to grab your nuts and run around on the block and tote all this iron. And it seems to me you're really afraid to be a warrior. You just want to be on TV. You know, act. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's pretty easy. You know what I mean? Just get up there and talk shit. But yeah, I feel like it's, you know, we have to re-engage in the hood. We have to make contact with these kids and offer them not just some hope, but a viable way to go get that money.
One of those things I realized as an adult was, you know, Tupac flew too close to the sun. Mm-hmm. And I believe this is true. And if it's not, it's damn near true. I think the last song he released was Hit 'Em Up. And 3 months later, someone called him. They said, yeah, perfect. You want to do this? We'll play this game. And he was dead. You know?
Wow. I don't know the ins and outs of the story.
It's 3 months for sure from the release of that song. Maybe he had stuff released posthumously, but I think that was the last song he released in his career. Mm. And he made this contract and someone said, yeah, I'll pay on that, you know? Mm-hmm. And, in some ways that starts to chill the community out and you know, we still lose a lot of people along the way, but it's shocking when you think about that. When you have that much rage, you put it out there.
Well, that's what they're doing now.
Oh, yeah.
These kids are killing each other, and it's not a record they put out.
Right.
It's a tweet on the freaking deal or you know, and it goes viral, and then the guy gets mad, or the guy sees this guy over here, and it's just bullshit on steroids, bro. And I don't think you're gonna be able to change it unless you go in there and do it. Can't do it from the outside. You got to go in there and get it.
I know you got some stuff to do, and I don't want to take all your time, but I do want to close us on a note other than Tupac getting murdered. So, and dudes getting murdered because of tweets. Give us the brightest, shiniest moment right now in your life. Like, give us something good to close on.
So, I went through about 32 years of struggle and pain to find some shit that I had the whole time. I had a revelation 18 months ago that the pain wasn't even mine. Mm. And I gave it back. You know, and now I'm allowed to live a life that can be prosperous, that could be giving and loving and joyful. And that's what I choose, because this is my life. Yeah. It goes the way I choose for it to go. Nobody else gets that job but me. And so I'm going to take the time I got left to make a real difference in the best way that I can. Not just for my boys, but for everybody's boys. Not just for my daughter, who is 17 years old, one of the most beautiful flowers on this planet, and about to blossom into a career of her own. Yeah. I want her to live in a world that is free from all intolerant bullshit. And I think the paradigm has shifted, you know.